Hello, everybody. I know it's been quite some time since I've posted any videos for Boss Dagul, which is Pinoy Fun and Travels. And so, yeah, it's been a little while, and I apologize. And I figured now would be a great opportunity to talk to a new friend of mine that I met at the Las Vegas Filipino Short Film Festival in Las Vegas in October. And so I figured we'll talk to Mr. Shawn Rosen. And here he is, folks, Mr. Shawn Rosen in Las Vegas.
Hello, hello.
Hey, good to see you, Shawn.
Good to see you
So
too, Doug.
thankfully, you got back from the Philippines safe. You were just in the Philippines during all this crazy weather.
Yeah, it was a coincidence that when I arrived on November 3rd, that's when the first super typhoon hit. And it wasn't a regular typhoon, it had to be a super typhoon. Super Typhoon Tino, and then I was supposed to leave a week after that, but guess what hit right after that?
Yeah.
Super Typhoon Uwan. So it was basically like Mother Nature, the universe telling me that I need to stay another week. So I ended up
Yeah.
staying for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna do it upright, right? Two
Do it
super
there.
typhoons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, yeah, I was concerned. I was waiting because you see all these crazy videos on Instagram and whatever, and then once the weather gets nice, you see the aftermath of people jumping off roofs into the rivers and the streets and floating on couches and just having fun and
It
just
is fun.
having a grand old time. And I was like, man, I would not want to be there still because still I see these videos too of these huge is it alligators or crocodiles that's in the Philippines.
Shoot, I think it's crocodiles.
I think it's crocodiles. Either way, they eat people and the pythons and all these animals that have been flipped upside down with all this crazy weather. They're out there too. They're kind of like, ooh, buffet. Oh, is that Shawn over there? So,
Right? I'm expired.
yeah. So just a little background on Shawn. Shawn is the producer and the technical ops director at the Las Vegas Filipino Short Film Festival. And I met him last month, and my film Millie Milo screened there last month, and it was a great time. And I thought Shawn's a filmmaker too, and we'll get to all that. I thought, well, this would be a great time to a great chance for me to upload another video on my Boss Dagul channel to all things Filipino. Even though, look
Yeah.
at me, I'm not Filipino. I am by heart and soul. And oops, wrong arm.
There we go. There we go.
There
Yes,
we go.
Filipino by association.
Yeah. And I think I don't know if I told you, but on our marriage certificate when we got married in the Philippines in Mindanao by my wife's my Mahal's uncle, on the marriage certificate it has my nationality as Filipino. Has my mom American, my dad American, Doug Filipino.
There you
so
go.
so legally I'm
You're legally
Filipino.
Filipino.
Yeah. Yeah. So so let's dig into a little bit about uh, who you are, where you came from, and what you're doing now. So where were you born, and what was your like family unit like? Where were you born in the early years?
Uh, well, I was born in the Philippines.
Hmm.
I was born in Angeles City, Pampanga, but I have no Kapampangan roots that I
Hmm.
know of. All my family is from the Visayas in the land of I shall return, known as
Hmm.
Leyte.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and so my mom was born. My biological mom was born in Palo Leyte, and she, I think she was on business at the time and went to Pampanga where she met my dad, and he was
Hmm.
stationed in the Air Force at the time at Clark. And then they met and then had me, and I was born there. And then I think when, I don't know, my biological dad's term of service was done, then relocated to the States, started in Florida. Then my twin brothers were born, and then moved over to Las Vegas when I was about 3 years old. And then the rest is history.
So that was with your mom and your Air Force dad moved to.
Yeah, from the
Okay.
Philippines, from Pampanga
Uh-huh.
to Florida. So I arrived in the States when I was maybe 2 years old.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. So what year was this? Because It's funny because I joined the Air Force in '87, and I had orders for Clark, Philippines, right out of my tech school, and so that would have been early '88. I was supposed to have been at Clark, but I had my orders changed, which is kind of funny. So what year were you born?
I was born in 91,
Okay,
so
yeah,
damn, 3 years apart.
yeah, just missed you. I could have been your cousin, or your tito, your uncle. But
Probably, yeah. You're Filipino
yeah,
now.
yeah, Filipino now. So okay, so and then Florida. And how long were you in Florida?
Um, I think just maybe less than a year, about a year, because then I
Yeah.
came to Vegas when I was 3.
Okay. All right.
And then, yeah, I basically just grew up here in Vegas,
Yeah.
trying to find my way back home.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so, so so as a kid in Las Vegas, what were you interested in? Was it sports, film at that time, or what was a young Shawn like? What was your hobbies, your pastime?
That's an interesting question, but because I don't get asked that often. But if I really think back, the biggest thing to me, in terms of like hobbies, was probably games. I
Mm,
loved video games. I loved card games. Anything that was game related. Even like back in the day, we used to play outside.
mm,
Physically. Uh, you know, um, that might be mind blowing for the alpha gen now. But
yeah, yeah.
kids used to go outside and play, and we used to play games like tag and cops and robbers and Marco Polo in the pool. And I grew up in apartments, so we always had a community pool, and Marco Polo became like everyone's favorite pastime. And
Mm,
so anything game related, I grew up just kind of like falling in love with that and just sticking to that. Sports wise, I think if it was available, I think because I kind of when I was 7 years old, I was like maybe first grade. My biological dad left, and so I kind of grew up with just my single mom and 2 brothers. My youngest brother wasn't born yet, and we haven't adopted our other brother yet. And yeah, we just kind of didn't. My mom didn't really have any connections in the U.S. other than my biological dad, and so we kind of grew up dirt poor. We didn't have any
mm,
money to buy basketballs and footballs and everything, but she always had friends, and the friends would be giving us video game systems during the holidays, and that's how we had
yeah,
like Super Nintendo and then Nintendo 64. And it doesn't cost any money to play the game once you have it, not like
yeah,
today where you
yeah.
got to constantly like pay a monthly subscription in order to keep playing. But
Mm,
that's kind of why we stuck to video games. But if a football or a basketball was available, we played, and I think we did a pretty good job. We had fun with it.
yeah, yeah. Cool.
So
And so you're the eldest, and then there's two twin brothers.
yeah, I'm the
Oh,
eldest, and then I have 2 twin brothers that are 2 years younger than me, and then we have an adopted brother who's 2 years younger than me as well.
hmm.
Uh, so yeah, basically 3 brothers that are 2 years younger than me. I'm 34. My brothers are 32, and then my youngest brother is only 22. So he came like 10 years after I
Hmm.
came to the States.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So you went to high school, and then right out of high school. So what was your when you were in high school? Can you remember what you were thinking about? What your aspirations were in high school? Because everybody once you become a junior, and especially when you're a senior, you're really kind of thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to make a living? What was you kind of? Do you remember what you were thinking about back then?
Um, it's gonna sound funny, but uh, all my life, like all my childhood growing up, I've always wanted to be a spy.
Hmm.
I wanted to work for the CIA, and I wanted to be really cool, like James Bond.
Hmm.
And I guess when I hit high school, reality sunk in, and I started realizing that it's not really that cool to be a spy. Especially as like the Iraqi war was starting to pick up. And if people are spies there, and they're not, doing cool missions and stuff. They're just walking around, blending in, with shawls on and stuff. And so,
Yeah.
My focus changed being a business owner. I wanted to somehow make a lot of money because I just didn't, I was getting tired of eating ravioli from a can, hot dogs and rice and stuff. We just couldn't afford anything. So, when I turned 19, actually, sorry. Yeah, no, 19. No, when I turned 18, I was still a senior in high school. I bought my first business. I bought it from my first boss. I got my first job when I was 17, and I worked for an upholstery shop. And then my boss at the time was good friends with my mom, and figured, he wants to just retire, and he wants to kind of like take it easy, and he's an older man. He's like 70. He was 72, 73 at the time. Decided to make a deal with me and sell me the business. I thought, that was a kind of a crazy idea, but I was really responsible, and I knew how to run the business. So he sold me his upholstery shop, and I gave him all my savings up until that point. I had like 15,000, and then I just bought the business from him. And then he wanted an additional, like, 35,000, so 50,000 in total. And I would just pay him every month. So, he kind of had like passive income, and it kind of makes sense considering that, he didn't, he wanted to retire. He already was set off with his own retirement, and he was just running the business to stay busy. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah. So I was 18 and I was running this business, but the manager there he devoted his whole life to that shop. He was there for like 25, 30 years, before me. And he was batshit pissed because, he's like, some kid just bought this, and now I have to, uh, go to a kid to get all my yays and nays. And so there was some conflict, and I just didn't want to deal with it. And I ended up selling him the business. So it came full circle. And so I sold it when I was 19. I just ran the shop for a year. And then, I went to college, and then I changed my degree 3 times. I originally started with journalism. I wanted to be a journalist because that was like the closest thing to being a spy. You get to go around and get information and everything. It was pretty cool. Yeah, no, I was my spy dreams were still sort of alive subconsciously. And then I've always been a writer. I've always loved writing. And so I was like, why not just make money doing what you love doing? I tried to learn that from an early age. And then I realized, you know what? There isn't that much money in journalism at the time, and it's kind of a rough field, especially if you don't know anybody. I decided to go back into business, and I tried to get my international business degree, but I realized that I hated math to a T, and I couldn't do statistics, and I was like, I don't want to go ahead and deal with that shit. So I changed that into my degree that I ended up graduating with, which is political science. I was like, what's a cool job where I can just go ahead and talk all day and like get paid other than being a professor? And I was like, oh yeah, that's what politicians do. They just talk and talk and talk, and they make a living
out both sides of their mouth.
Out of both sides, out of all 3 orifices. So
yeah.
I whenever I do something, I devote myself to it. I got really into it. So I started getting to know all my professors. We started talking politics, debates, discussions about Thoreau and, Machiavelli and all of that stuff. And I think I made an impression because then they referred me to this the Larry Bolden Memorial Scholarship. And basically it was a full ride scholarship that allowed me to go to DC. And actually, it was an internship. It was a paid internship, and they would send me to DC. And at the time, Harry Reid was the senator here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Not only was he the senator, but he was the majority leader, the Senate majority leader. So he was like, number 4 in line for the presidency. And it was like such a big thing to get that because everybody wants to work for the Senate majority leader. And so I interviewed for it. I ended up getting it, and then I got sent down over there, and I became like a coffee boy. I became like errand boy, and I was working with Harry Reid's campaign manager or his secretary most of the time, and he, as part of the Bolden internship, you're allowed to sit down with the Senate Majority Leader for like an hour and then ask him anything, just talk crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure this guy talks about politics all day, every day. So why don't we talk about something else? And I love boxing because, growing up in the ghetto all the time, that's kind of like one of the only free things you can do that everyone relates to, and that's fighting. And so we got really good at slap boxing, and it turned into gloved boxing. And so I ended up taking boxing at UNLV, and I did that for about a year. And right before, I couldn't afford the license. You have to get a license in order to go pro or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got to that point. But my passion for boxing always stayed. And so I talked to the Senate Majority Leader. I was like, hey, sir, there was rumors from in the office that he was a professional boxer, and I was like, I gotta ask about it. Nobody wants to ask him about that.
Yeah.
I was like, sir, have you ever boxed? And like, he has this gloomy look, kind of the look like you have right now. You're just kind of like trying to get through the meeting and everything, and then so just kidding.
Thank you.
Yeah, you kind of remind him. You guys are both the same age right now. So
Jesus.
I was like, all right. He kind of just bloomed. His eyes just widened. He got a sparkle in his eye, and he was like, something that was like buried deep inside of him, a lost passion came out, and he just started spewing all of his fights. And he was like, yeah, I used to be really rugged in there, and I was going, I was about to go pro. My dad taught me everything. And then he told me, and this is something I always remember. He said that his dad told him that he's too smart to be a boxer, and he's better than that. And so his dad forced him to go to college, and that's why he didn't become a professional boxer. He ended up becoming a politician, or he became a lawyer and then a politician. And I was like, dang, that would have been great to see a professional boxer in the States become, a world-renowned politician, like a Senate Majority Leader. That's all. That's something that you only hear in like the Philippines.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Manny,
right? And it was such a cool experience. I got to finish up it was only 4 months, and then they offered me a position, and I was like, I'm really glad I got it, but I also saw the ins and outs of what it was like being on Capitol Hill, and I was like, oh man, that's not something I want to do. Like I like being true to myself, and I hate trying to put up a facade in order to get through the day. And it's like, if I got to do that, why am I in it? And
it just seems like there's so much compromise. People they give up their character for something that they're trying to push, even though they don't, like everything that's going on right now, all these people. Well, I don't want to get too political, but yeah, it just seems like you lose a lot of yourself.
They offered me a position in Vegas. They were like, hey, how about you just work for Reid in the local office here on downtown Fremont at the Lloyd courthouse, and he has an office there. And I was like, sure, let's see if it's any different locally. I was lucky enough to start at the national level, at the highest level, and then work my way down. I'm gonna go down to now the state level and in the local level, and it was the same thing, and it was like, if I'm ever gonna run for politics, I can't be running under somebody else's tailcoat. Like I have to be able to be myself, and then people have to just want me in office because of me and what I believe in. And so that's why it just wouldn't work out, because I just would kind of I would be sticking to my guns. And so I finished up my degree. Everybody was all my professors were kind of pissed off at me, because they were like, can't believe you got the internship that, hundreds of candidates wanted. You got the most prestigious internship in the city, and you didn't take the job. Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you even in politics or political science? And I was like, I had an epiphany. I ended up graduating with an epiphany, knowing that I don't want to pursue a career in politics. And I was like, damn, it took a degree for me to realize that. But I got the degree. So I was like, what can I do with the degree? Like, what's required? What's a good job that requires a degree? It doesn't matter what kind. And then there we go. That's where that comes in.
Yeah.
So at the time, my adopted brother was joining the Army, and he's a stud. So anything physically, yeah, he's African American. Love him to death. We kind of took him in because there were many moments in our lives where we just couldn't afford to keep the lights on, so to say, and we just didn't have like hot water to shower in, especially during the winter and everything. And this kid, his name's Cordell, he would come in and he would just do his homework in the candlelight with us. He would eat, rice and hot dogs with us. And he would take these cold ass showers with us, and he would just laugh and play video games with us, when the power was on. And I was like, why are you here, Cordell? And because he had a house. He had a house. His family is pretty good, His stepdad at the time was he worked for Public Services, which is the dump company here, and they make good money. And he had a house, and he didn't have to be enduring all this BS with us. But he was like, I love you guys. I love being with you guys. I feel more like family with you guys than I do with my own. And it was at that moment. It was like, he was in 9th grade, I was in 12th grade. That's when we kind of said, you're family, from now on, you're family. And so he he didn't know what to do after high school, and my twin brothers didn't know what to do after high school. And so I was like, and I was in college at the time, I'm in like 3rd year because I was a senior and they were just freshmen, and I'm about to finish up college. And I convinced my adopted brother, I convinced Cordell to join the Army. And because I told him there was a lot of I don't know who's gonna watch this, but I'm just gonna say there's a lot of Houdinis in the Army, and that's code word for like, there's a lot of girls there. He was like, what, really? And I was like, yeah, and we looked up at the time where there was like MySpace and stuff, and we just looked up all the Army girls, and he was like, oh man, he loves Houdinis with blonde hair and stuff, and he just likes white Houdinis. And so he was like, I'm in. That was the cataract. That's all it took.
Where do I sign up?
Oh yeah, he was like, please. And he's like, you gotta pass a physical test. He's like, please, I can blink and pass. And he did. He runs, fucking 13-minute 2 miles right off the bat. He only got faster. Was able to do like 80 push-ups in 2 minutes, no problem, and like over 100 sit-ups in just 2 minutes. So that was no issue. All he had to do was pass the ASVAB. That was the hard part because as they say, you can't be all brawn and all brain. But he had a huge heart, and that's what that's what we loved about him. And so he joined, and then from there it was easy to get my other brother to join, Derek. And then Derek joined, and then they both were set. They both went off to basic. We did the National Guard, so they get to come back home after a while. And then Jason was the only one that was kind of like, I don't know what to do with him. And then my youngest brother Brandon was in the high school. He was getting into trouble and everything. And I kind of had to bail him out. He stayed with me. And then at the end, both Cordell and Derek were in the Army. I was on the verge of leaving. I was at the cusp of leaving my political career behind. And then when I came home from DC, that's when I started getting more information from my brothers. And then I realized, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter what degree you have, as long as you have a 4-year degree, you can become an officer. Yeah. And so my the recruiter of my brother and Cordell, he was a big fan of mine, and simply because I recruited so many people into the Army during that. I tried to put my whole family in there.
You helped his numbers.
Joined. I had 2 ex-girlfriends that joined. Yeah, I mean, he was like, man, you should be a recruiter. Like, why do you want to be an officer? And I was just like, I don't know. I can be convincing if I want to. So I had over like 10 people join. And so when I told him it's my turn, he was like, when do you want to start? Like, he took time out of his Saturday. He's like, I'm going to drive you over to get your ASVAB done. I got an 83, which is higher than I expected because I sucked on my ACT because it's like the same damn test. And he's like, yeah, whatever job you want as an officer, you can get. And I was like, all right, let me go ahead and be a communications officer. And so I ended up becoming a signal. I was on my way to becoming a signal officer. And then, boom, bon voyage. I got sent off to basic, and I was in Fort Benning, Georgia. And then I did my, it's like, they call it OSUT. So I did all my training in one spot, like the infantry guys did. And then they sent me out to another part of Fort Benning, which is where Officer Candidate School is. And then, yeah, that was kind of a big eye opener because I mean, I don't even think I'm mature now, but like I was very immature when I was young. When I was in my 20s, I was just kind of joking around all the time. I didn't know how to take life too seriously. That was my way of coping with everything, when I had to go and take care of everybody when I was a teenager. I kind of learned how to the only way I can take care of myself is just to laugh at everything.
Yeah.
And
So at this point in OCS, you were about 22, 23?
24.
24, yeah.
Yeah. And, when somebody cracked a joke or somebody farted in formation, I would be that guy. I'd be the guy bursting out laughing.
Because that's funny.
It's funny. And I was like, I don't give a shit. Like, I always did things my way. I got through everything. I got through life doing things my way. And I mean, it's terrible to say, but it's like, it's either that or I become, homeless, or I become this shitty role model for my brothers. And then, so I learned I can't do it my way in the Army. I realized, okay, I'm going to be screwed. So I ended up making a grave mistake 3 weeks before graduation. We were about to graduate. I did all the physical stuff. To me, it was a grueling 12-mile ruck march. 12 miles for anybody would be tiring, but to these guys, it was a piece of cake. But I was like, that was the hardest part. You got to run 3 miles in like 18 minutes, And so it's like, I got through all of that. That's no problem. I did the testing and everything. There was the part where you had to go ahead and take charge of a group, and then you had to lead them into a mission. And then you have you have a tester who's your cadre, and they have to go ahead and like bring up random obstacles in front of you while you're in the wilderness in the middle of nowhere and say like, oh yeah, like your squad leader just broke his ankle. What are you gonna do? And then you gotta you gotta call Readyvac or you gotta call in a Medivac and all that stuff. And it's like, and then the guys that I got teamed up with, I was that guy. Remember, I'm the guy that everyone has to get smoked for because I'm laughing super loud in formation. And I already had that, I already had like a bad rep. So they kind of didn't really do the mission according, like if I said, hey, we're gonna rendezvous here, right here, they would just rendezvous like half a click away, just to screw me over. And I was like, oh man. So I ended up getting recycled, and then I had a brand new group, and I knew from then on I had to do things the Army way. I had to behave in formation, don't laugh, don't do all these silly things. And then I made another grave mistake. We're finishing up. We had to do another 12-mile ruck march. Did that. Did the 3-mile run. Did the exercise, the FTX, the field exercise, where I had to lead a group. Boom! I was like top of the class because I knew everything. I already did everything, and I had the respect of my fellow peers, and we got through that part. It was only on the way back. We were rucking back, right, when one of the guys on my squad ended up losing his night vision goggles. And he's on the verge of tears because this is like,
they're expensive.
They're expensive. They're like $3,000 at the time, pre-COVID. And he's like borderline crying. I'm gonna lose my wife and kids at home. This is, they're all relying on me to finish this so I can provide for them and all that. And I was like, So I thought I thought I was doing the right thing, and I told my cadre, said, hey, I'm sorry, I misplaced the night vision goggles. And boom, they pulled me up, they interrogated me, they found out that I didn't lose the night vision goggles, that it was Bradley, and they dismissed me for honor code violation, integrity violation. They said I'm not fit to be a leader because I can't lie to my command like that, especially if it's, something like that.
Yeah, that's
And
what politics is for, right?
right, yeah, and I was like, shit, I
Yeah,
should have stayed in politics.
I know, kidding.
I can't believe it. So, and
Yeah.
the craziest thing is that Bradley ended up getting a slap on the wrist. Nothing happened to him.
Mm.
If he had just confessed from the beginning, nothing would have happened. He would have gotten a slap on the wrist, and then he would
Yeah.
have gotten a statement billing where he would just pay
Paid
3,000
off. Yeah.
out of his paycheck every month. And I was like, fuck. And that
Yeah.
was my second time. That was my second time. I couldn't be recycled again, so they sent me
Yeah.
back. And instead of being an officer in this as a signal officer, I ended up becoming a signaleer. So I would just, one step below, I'm the guy getting the signal from the satellite, turning it into basically Wi-Fi for the commander so he can continue his Pornhub account. And then
Yeah.
and then I did that for 8 years. And
Yeah.
so yeah, you know what? I've never told the full story to anybody. You're the first one.
Right. And so we were in the process during the gala night. We were talking about this because we were talking about VA stuff, and then we got pulled away. We didn't get a chance to finish our discussion. So you did that for 8 years as a.
Yeah. I started in 2014, and then I got out in 2022.
So when you got out of, so did you get commissioned, or did you have to go enlisted?
No, I had to go enlisted.
Okay.
I went to BLC, basic leadership course, and to become a sergeant to get my first chevron.
Yeah.
But before I can get pinned, my contract, my 6-year contract was done. And I was like, I got screwed out of my commission on the first year. There's no way I
Yeah.
want to continue doing this, And they're like, you're about to be a sergeant. Just stay in, it's going to get better. And I'm like, no, I'm still not an officer. So, after my first contract was done, I kind of just said cut. And then I had 2 years of inactive duty because in the Guard, you do 6 years of active duty where you're doing, your drills every month and then 2 weeks in the summer. And then 2 years of inactive where you don't have to train anymore, but you're technically still in the Army. You just you're on the sidelines in case shit hits the fan. Then they have a right to call you back into service.
Yeah. So this is the first time. This is the first time you've said this in any interview, let alone to really anybody outside your circle.
Yeah, I mean the whole family knows the story, but I've never publicly told anybody this. Yeah, you're first. Because it's not something I'm proud of. Like, no one's gonna be proud of something like that. But like,
you thought you were doing the right thing. You thought you were doing the right thing. So I wouldn't, yeah, you could beat yourself up all day long about it, but you thought you were doing the right thing by trying to cover for somebody. But the Army didn't see it. The Army didn't see it that way.
Army never sees it. Army is something else. It's a totally different beast. And so I'm kind of glad I'm not in right now because I wouldn't want to be in with the current, commander in chief. That would be another. But I digress. I don't want to steer. Yeah.
Right. So, well, all right. So, thank you for your service. The Army. My dad was Army during World War II. So we need people in the Army. That's why I joined the Air Force.
Yeah, exactly. The irony.
Yeah. So, all right. So you're done with the Army. You have your bachelor's degree. You're done with the Army. What was your path to being an educator? Is that the next thing that happened?
Well, I was maybe in the last 2 years of my contract, and I realized, this is not something that it's not something that I want to do for a career. It's you know, it's kind of like being in politics again. I have to be in the good old boys club in order to get anywhere. And, you know, yeah, I don't always have the best leadership. So it kind of just, um, it was kind of depressing, you know, if I'm going to be honest. It was, you know, it was disheartening to see so much hoorah about it and all that on the ads and everything. And then you find out that it's a totally different reality.
Different. Mm-hmm.
So
They,
yeah,
they sold you a bill of goods that wasn't what it was supposed to, wasn't what you thought.
I mean, it could be like that, but you know, I'd say it's very rare to get really good leadership to where you feel proud to be in that unit. And I mean, I don't know what it's like in the Air Force, but when you're in the Army, it's really, you know, a lot of them are just kind of doing it as a 9 to 5. They're just trying to get by.
Yeah. Yeah. Having good leadership makes all the difference with morale, the quality of life. If you go to work every day dreading it because your leadership is horrible, yeah, it just makes you, it's depressing. It's soul crushing is what it is. You know, when you want to wear the uniform, you want to do the right thing. So, all right. So from there, what was your next path, your next step in the path?
Um, Pretty much, I I had about 2 years left of my contract, and I forgot to mention I started getting into subbing. I was substitute teaching
Mm-hmm.
right around before I joined the Army. So around 2014, I was already doing sub gigging, and I
Mm-hmm.
was going to different schools, you know, and I purposely went to different grades so I know what each one felt like.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I did elementary. That was my first gig, kindergarten, elementary, and I was like, I need to feel how crazy it is because that's what I heard. And then I did middle school, and then I did high school, and then I started doing sped. And for some reason, I just clicked really, really well with the students with special needs.
Mm-hmm.
My heart went out for them, and I just realized, you know, these guys really need me more than like the gen ed kids do. You know, the middle
That,
schoolers,
they're
regular high
always
schoolers.
pushed away,
Yeah,
aren't they?
they're like they don't even want
Yeah.
to be in school. But you
Yeah.
have these students, these sped students that are very like, you know, they can't learn at home. You know, their
They're
parents are usually
invisible.
too busy. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
invisible. And the only
Yeah.
ones who also need a teacher would probably be like the really, you know, the kindergartners and the pre-K. But I just I don't know. I think I give my, you know, my kudos, my nod off to my sister and other elementary school teachers because that's a hard gig, and you know, you got to have a lot of patience for children, and
Mm-hmm.
I have patience for adults, should I say, because I just know, you know, I just feel I have patience in general. It's just I just felt more connected to my students with special needs. And
Mm.
so 2 years before I finished the military, I decided I am going to get my license in teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that the National Guard owes me for my service. They said that if I serve I forget how many days exactly. I think it was like maybe 90 days of active duty. You're eligible for the GI Bill,
Right. Right.
and you're also and when you're in the Guard, they also waive your tuition if you go to school in Nevada. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh shoot, all right, so I'm gonna go back to UNLV. And I was
Snap.
like, what do you guys cover? You know, and they were like, we can cover up to a master's degree, and I was like, nani? So
Yeah.
I decided to get my master's, but I asked them if I can go ahead and get, you know, like what is it, like a certificate. And you know, they're like, certificate for what? Like for, you know, carpentry or mechanics and stuff. They don't do that. It has to
Yeah.
be for a degree. And I was like, okay, so what I'm gonna do, I found a program, and this is because Nevada has a huge teacher shortage, especially in Las Vegas. They actually uh pair your teacher's license, your teacher's certificate with your master's at this program at UNLV.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed up for the tuition waiver, and I got my master's. And when I graduated, now my cadre doesn't know this, but when I graduated, they also gave me my license. So booyah, Uncle Sam! I was able to be a teacher for special education with my master's. And then I did that for about 2 years. And then I realized, you know what? I would rather be doing this as my career, as my lifetime career, than the military. And then I was like, okay, so about 2018 is when I started. About 2021 is when I kind of like hung up the gloves for the military. I was like, all right, go ahead and just do this full time now. I don't want to have to keep missing class because I got to do drill on random days of the week when they want me to. And then I come back and like my classroom is in disarray and all that. That was just kind of irritating, but it was nice because they did take care of you. You know, I was able to double dip as a teacher and then as a guardsman, which is really nice. So money was good back then. And then, yeah, you know, they gave me a VA loan. I was able to get a home and everything, and bam, you know, I'm in my backyard. Okay,
Yeah.
so fast forward. I became a teacher. I got my license. I was a teacher for 7 years. This leads up to my filmmaking ambitions now. 2020.
Great. You're answering my next question. What was your creative path to filmmaking, and then eventually to being part of the film festival? And just so you know, the whole pieces of your past that you talked about with boxing, we're going to come around full circle and talk about your new movie, Cadence.
Yes, that it is always...
we'll end with Cadence.
Okay, so, perfect.
All right, back to you, Shawn.
Ooh, I'm getting excited. All right. Well, if I'm talking too much, just tell me, Doug.
No. This is for people out there that want to know who you are and what you're all about, and hopefully go, oh crap, there's a film festival in Las Vegas for Filipino culture and all this other stuff. So anyway.
Yes. Okay. So, okay. So 2020 hit. Everyone knows what happened in 2020. I'm still relatively a fresh teacher. You know, I started maybe 1 or 2 months in the 2018-2019 school year as a newly licensed teacher. So I had about maybe 1.5 years of experience before the pandemic hit. You know, as a licensed teacher, I was already subbing for 4 years before then. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible because all my kids, you know, I can't, my students, you know, I love my students, and it's hard to teach students with special needs remotely, you know? And in 2020, we didn't even have like, okay, this is where Zoom became big, you know? Zoom was already an established company, but they didn't start booming until the pandemic.
Yeah.
But because it was so easily hackable, they banned Zoom from our district. We couldn't use Zoom, and it was like, well, what do we use? So we had this thing called Google Hangouts.
Yeah.
Which is the precursor to Google Meet. And it was so janky, and you know, our district tried to get us to teach our kids, you know, in general, like our gen ed students and our sped students, using Google Classroom, and we can just post our assignments, and then students will submit it via, you know, your district email, which is through Gmail. And it was like, what? This is not working out. It's not working out for me. It's not working out for my coworkers in sped. Like, it's just, we are kind of being left in the dark. We're invisible because everything is brand new. Everything's remote now, and none of our students, they don't know how to log in, and their parents, a lot of times their parents aren't even home, you know, and because they got laid off, or they got, you know, kind of like shut out of their job because of the pandemic, they were learning how to use, you know, Google Hangouts and then Google Meet. And so it was just like, there was a period in my career where I did nothing for about 6 months. I was like, yeah, it was from when 2020, when COVID-19 became a thing. It was March 2020, and I'll never forget it because that was when like all hell broke loose. Everything was empty, and being sort of the rebel that I am, I was out and about. I went out to the strip. There was like, I got a job, but I don't got any kids,
Mm.
and we were just told to stand by until they figure it out. So I went out. I went out with a friend who's also in the army. Just didn't, we didn't care about catching COVID because we were like, I don't know. I didn't. I knew it was serious, but I didn't care about dying. What did I have to lose?
Mm.
My sense of adventure and my, my need to be out and about was stronger than my fear of dying from COVID. And so I went out to the strip, and I think it's the first time and only time in history where the strip was completely desolate. It was empty.
Mm.
And so I was like, oh man, and nobody's stopping us. They didn't put roadblocks or anything. Even the cops were kind of like scared out of their mind.
Yeah.
So we were just roaming around, and I was like, you know what? I need to go. I need to do something about this. And I bought a camera. I bought a GH5, Panasonic Lumix GH5, and that was my first film camera. And I was like, I'm gonna go film my friend just doing random things on the strip with nobody else around. And then we turned it into a music video. And every here and there we would see another bum or something. It was like a bum's paradise, but even the bums
Mm.
were scared of catching COVID.
Yeah.
So there was only like a couple other brave souls whenever we were shooting this music video. And yeah, I just really loved it. And I was thinking, why don't I just make a film? Like, why don't I make an actual film? Uh, let's see if I can do this, because I was low key very disappointed that no one would ever read my stories. Because I mentioned it earlier. I love writing. I've always written, and nobody would take the time to read my stuff. And it's like, dude, what else are you gonna do? The
Mm.
world's been shut down for 6 months, and you'd rather be learning how to make bread than read my stories. You'd rather learn how to garden and do carpentry than and bake than read my stories. Shame on you. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna figure out a way to force you to read my stories. And that's when I was like, I'm gonna turn these stories into short films. And of course, I didn't have anybody to be my actors because A, I have no name, and B, everyone's afraid out of their minds to catch COVID. So I was like, all right, let me ask my sister. Oh, my sister came into the picture when I was selling my business. When I
Mm.
ran that upholstery shop for a year, that's when my biological dad decided he no longer wants to take care of my sister anymore, and sent her from the Philippines to me because I was finally out of the ghetto. I had a stable home, and I distanced myself from my biological mom. My biological parents aren't great people, so
Yeah.
I tried to distance myself from them as much as possible. And at the time, he decided it was time to just send the last of my kin to me. And so it was like 2012 when my sister came, and then
Mm.
she came here. She lived with me for about what, like a year, maybe, or 2 years, and then she met somebody and got married to an
Yeah.
army guy, and
Mm-hmm.
then she went out and lived her life. She moved in with her husband, and then so yeah. Uh, Long story short, they separated, and then she came back, and then we were living together again. And then I have a niece, and so I used my sister and my niece as my actresses, and it came out with my first short film called EOS. And it's a Filipino short story turned into a film about the Kumakatuk. There's no backdrop really on where the Kumakatuk came from,
Mm-hmm.
other than it's basically like the death deity, the death god. You have a
Mm.
young girl who's going around knocking on doors and with two older gentlemen. And if you hear the knock from the Kumakatuk, you know that somebody behind those doors is going to pass away
And he's
soon.
gonna die. Yeah.
But there's no backdrop. You just know that it's an old fable that's been passed around for what, a century, since World War II.
Right.
And I wanted to create a backdrop to it, so I came up with EOS, and it wasn't the greatest, but I learned so much, and I fell in love with. I caught the film bug,
Mm-hmm.
during that. I would like the whole process of, creating something that is not really happening, but it looks real on film.
Yeah. So you have a number of short films. Is there a place where people can see your films?
Yeah. So I have an unlicensed production studio,
Mm-hmm.
meaning
Unlicensed.
unlicensed. I mean, I haven't. Everyone knows it's mine, but I just
Yeah.
haven't, like, incorporated it
LLC
yet,
it,
or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Plethora Productions. So if you look up Plethora,
Mm-hmm.
Plethora Productions on YouTube, you'll see a picture of my really cute Maltipoo, and
Uh-huh.
that's my mascot because I love that dog. That dog was there with me from the beginning through the
Yeah.
pandemic, and then unfortunately passed away a year from like today, I think.
Oh man. Yeah.
But
I,
yeah.
and I'll put that information in the description below so everybody can.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's youtube.com/Plethora Productions LV. And then you can see that crazy music video I shot on the strip with nobody around. I hope you guys don't watch my early stuff. I put it up there anyways, but I just haven't had the time to take it off. But EOS is
No.
on there.
I would say keep it because that shows growth.
Yeah, I guess. Because now the stuff I make now, I can't even put it on YouTube,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it kind of evolved. I went from making EOS to I made a short film about cars called Shot, because it included stop animation. And then my imagination just grew from there. I just couldn't stop thinking about ideas for films. And then eventually they discovered Google Meet, and then I was going back to work, but summer was right around the corner. And then I was like, all right, why don't I go ahead and go to film school? My brother Derek he was just now leaving the army, and he's got all this free time, and he's like, yeah, I'll go to film school with you if you join. And then Jason, he never joined the military, so he already went to film school, made a name, and so
Mm-hmm.
we already had a good reputation. And I was like, why not? So we went to the College of Southern Nevada of
Mm-hmm.
Las Vegas, and Derek was joining with me, and the name Rosen was synonymous with like all these crazy comedies
Yeah.
that Jason's made prior. And yeah, it was really nice. We went to film school, and then
Was that part of your GI Bill? Were you able? Or was that something you had already
no,
expended that?
unfortunately, no. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I went to film school right when I got out of the military.
Yeah. Because I used my GI Bill for my screenwriting degree after I retired. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, you
yeah.
retired. I didn't
Yeah.
get it anymore. Once I was out, they didn't give it to me.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it was the cool thing about this film school is that it's a hidden gem. It's the cheapest film school at the highest quality possible that you're going to
Mm-hmm.
find on the West Coast. So,
Yeah.
every semester was only going to cost. It was only costing me maybe what, $500.
Wow.
Yeah, for a full like 4 classes, because it's still technically considered a community school,
Mm-hmm.
a
Yeah.
community college. And
Yeah.
yeah, but they got Reds, they got Zeiss Primes, they got all this heavy duty equipment that you would only find at like a really
Yeah.
top notch film school, and you
Yeah.
get it for a fraction of the price. So
Wow.
uh, yeah,
So the Rosen brothers are all uh, got educated in filmmaking and are
yeah,
making
for the most
films.
part.
Yeah.
Um, but then there was like, I don't know, there was some kind of heated competition between the twins and I. I was making stuff, but then Derek was making stuff, and then there was, I guess we had different views and how we had different styles, I'd say, and we ended up growing apart from our films. Like, we used to help each other, but then I think I turned out to be more serious about it, and he wasn't. and so I decided to go my own way, and then Derek went his way. And so every time, I'm making a film or whatnot, he wasn't a part of it anymore. And when he made a film, well, I mean, I would still like to be a part of it, but he didn't want me to be a part of it. So he ended up graduating, and then, yeah, I think he just, like I said, I think I was more serious about it. I think he kind of just hung up the gloves in the film world. And then I ended up taking a 1-year hiatus. I ended up going to the Philippines because at the time I met somebody, and I was, I was trying to make it work, and it kind of fell apart. So I came back. I went back to film school, and now I'm trying to make my final student film, which is Cadence.
Oh, it's a student film. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
it's a student film, but
part of your film school curriculum.
yeah, it's
Okay, cool.
it's the capstone film. It's
Yeah,
part of the capstone class of the film program, which is called
right.
portfolio. So it's my portfolio film, and I've already established a really good crew doing the other films throughout my years at CSN since like 2022. So for 3 years, and a lot of the guys now are like they're like heavy hitters in the industry here in Vegas. I got Nick Villafuerte, who's a really like he's on the rise to becoming like probably the best cinematographer here in Vegas. And then I got Daniel Torres, which is he's an stupendous editor, amazing editor, and he's and they both like they have their own crews or they have their own ways of doing things, and I kind of just they already trust my vision. I just went in, pitched them a story, and they're like, yeah, whatever you need. And so now we just got picture lock yesterday.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really happy about it.
Yeah.
Now all we got to do is add, we're gonna make a really nice score. My sound guy, who's been doing sound for my other films, is composing the score. And then I got my editor, who also so happens to be really good at sound engineering, is foleying the film. And then my DP is also a great colorist, so he's coloring the film. And they're all working on it probably right now as we speak.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to get it done by the end of the month so that we can premiere on December 13th at 4 p.m. here
Oh,
at
that's
Barry's.
right. Yeah. So we were supposed to go as a family. We were going to be in Vegas next week. Actually, we were going to leave Sunday, and then we canceled it because at that time I had my hotel. We had our hotel booked. Didn't book a flight yet, and then because of the government shutdown, because at that point there was no end in sight. All the planes were being delayed and canceled, so we canceled everything. So there's a possibility we might be coming out in December as me, my wife, and my daughter. But I don't know if we'll make the 13th. But we'll see. Yeah, that's pretty exciting having a premiere. So where are you going to premiere it at?
The same boxing gym that we shot the film at.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I mean, that's so cool. That's so cool. And before I get into how you got hooked up with Tita Margie and Manette and Felipe and all those folks at the film festival, let's finish up with Cadence. Why you wrote it and what it means to you as a story, and what do you want to say with it?
Well, I love boxing. I still love boxing. Even though I don't actively box anymore, I'll never forget like my upbringing, which involved a lot of boxing, and then my time learning boxing in college. So I made a film called Sweet Science, and it was my first successful film where I got a lot of praise for it, and I even got into a lot of film festivals with it, and it just felt, it felt right. And turns out, I've tried different genres. I'm in film school, so I wanted to try out different genres, see where I'm at. And it turns out that I'm just really good at making action films. And I was like, why not just do another action film for my capstone, for my portfolio? And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and do something that hasn't been done before. I'm gonna create an Asian Rocky series, and there's a lot of prominent, or there's not a lot, but there's a handful of really really good boxers in the boxing world, uh, that are Filipino that a lot of people don't know about.
Hmm.
Like Flashy Lorde. He's the guy that kind of paved the way for Pacquiao,
Yeah.
and like Nonito Donaire, and then you
Yeah.
got
Donaire.
like
Yeah.
Pancho Villa, who came way before any other Filipino boxer. He was like the first famous Filipino boxer. And then you have like Safrino Garcia, who's the first ever middleweight Filipino boxing champion. And middleweight's kind of like, I don't know, 150 pounds,
Yeah.
155 pounds, and
Yeah.
Filipinos don't even get that big. So that was
Yeah.
that was a huge feat in itself. And it's like nobody knows about these guys.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create something similar to what Rocky has done for America, but in the Philippines, kind of
Hmm.
like upbring Filipino the spirit and make Filipinos and Filipino Americans proud to be Filipino.
Right.
And so whenever I write a script or come up with a story, I always I write from the heart. I write from what I've experienced. And like Bong Joon-ho once said, he's the guy who directed
The
Parasite
Parasite. Yeah.
and then like Mickey 17 and stuff. He said, uh, the most truth is the most creative, something along those lines. And Scorsese
Hmm.
has said it too. The most real is the most creative. So whatever is true to you, whatever you've experienced, is usually the most creative stuff that comes out of you. Because
Hmm.
you've been there, you've experienced it. So the story is basically about two Filipino boxers, or two Filipino brothers who grow up in the slums without parents, and they survive just by relying on each other. And they come across a boxing gym, and there's an incident that happens, and then they end up meeting the coach, and the coach kind of just brings them in as their own kids, so he becomes like a father figure to these guys. And then they grow into boxing, they grow up with boxing, they're living with the coach and everything. And then the main character, Seferiano, named after Seferiano Garcia, the middleweight champion, falls in love and leaves everybody behind. He abandons everything. He
Hmm.
abandons his dad figure, he abandons his brother, who's his only family. He abandons the whole community just for love. And he realizes he made a dumb young mistake because it didn't work out. And so he tries to come back, but realizes he's been gone for about a year, maybe a year and a half, and everyone's moved on. The trainer has found new prospects. And when Seferiano left, his brother Gabriel left, and he found another gym, and he ended up excelling way beyond both brothers have, and he ended up becoming a professional champion, whereas Seferiano has only been a national champion. And so Cadence steps in right when Seferiano is returning back to the boxing world, and he knows that his only family is you always start with your family. So he tries to win his brother back, but realizes his brother's already way beyond him. It's already in both skill and in career, and realizes he's not going to be able to win his brother back so easily. He has to win his brother's respect in the ring. And
Hmm.
the story of Cadence is him going into the ring and winning his trainer back. It's starting with the roots, getting back into the swing of things. And his trainer, his dad figure, Ronaldo, is like, no, I got other trainers. I got other fighters now. I got other fighters that's not going to leave me, that's not
Hmm.
going to abandon me. And he's obviously hurt because it's like his son left, but it's kind of like it's a mix. It's a mix of it's a redemption story between brothers and between a father and son.
Hmm.
So it's a mix of two things that are very dear to me that
Family.
I've experienced in a way.
Yeah.
And I poured it into this story. And so uh yeah, to actually see it come to life, it was like, and I
Yeah.
think you know I think when people see it, because so far, you know, I have to watch roughs with my class and everything, and I'm getting nothing but like, you know, wow, like shit. It was like a lot. It's a lot for them,
Yeah.
and but in a good way. Like they feel like they're there, and that's what I
Yeah.
want. I want it to feel gritty. I want you to feel like you've been abandoned. I want you to feel like, you know, you've been abandoned, but you want to accept again. You know,
Mm.
and that's kind of the whole origin of Cadence. And now, you know, now that we're almost done, I'm almost wrapping up with this film. It's also, you know, I try to kill like 100 birds with one stone.
Yeah.
And this is also not only like you know, my last class, my last student film, but it's also a proof of concept that I'm using to hopefully pick up, you know, producers to help me make the full feature. So everything I
Yeah.
told you up until this point will be, you know, the feature. And
Hmm.
then, you know, ultimately, you know, Sefrino and Gabriel end up facing each other in the ring at the end of the movie. You
Yeah.
know, and so
That's pretty
that's the
cool.
hope. That's the hope.
That's pretty awesome, Shawn. That's really great. Yeah.
Thank you.
So have you started writing the feature to expand the characters and the story, or you're just still kind of, you know, trying to keep your arms around this process to see it through to
Uh, I kind of fleshed out the characters because I
mhm.
needed to in order to get this short done. But no, I haven't started. I haven't finished
Mhm.
the feature script because I've been focused on the short. But
Yeah.
as soon as the short is you know, final cut and you got the
Yeah.
final edit and everything has been layered on and everything, that'll be probably hopefully November 30th, so in a week.
Yeah.
Then I can start, you know, I can take maybe a week, just take a breath
All
because
right.
I haven't had a break since you know, the film festival season started back in
Yeah.
September.
Yeah.
I can start wrapping my head around the full picture, the big picture, you know,
Yeah.
the feature script. So
Do you write in Final Draft, or what software do you use for?
oh man, this is gonna sound ghetto, but you know, my ways haven't changed much. Like if I can save a penny on something that
Mm.
I don't need to spend money on, I won't. I found when I was starting back in 2020, I didn't get a subscription to Final Draft. Somebody found a way to turn Microsoft Word into Final Draft. All you have to do is just change the parameters a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's designed to be just like Final Draft.
Yeah.
So no matter where I go, I always have a copy of Microsoft Word's Final Draft on a flash drive, and I just pop it up, and then I can type. So I use Microsoft Word, but don't tell any of the producers that because then they'll rip my script up.
No. Yeah. Yeah. I have, let's see, 5 minutes before this session ends, and maybe we could wrap it up in 5 minutes. Um, how, how did you get affiliated with the film festival?
So back in 2022, this is how I met Tita Margie. She there was my brother Jason. He graduated from film school, and he was so resistant about joining the military. He just didn't want to do it, but he didn't know what to do after film school because, you know, I'm going to be real. 90% of those who go to film school don't go to film after they graduate. They just want the experience of it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's a community when you're in school. And then when you're out of school, you're kind of in the real world and you don't have
Mm.
that community anymore. And then you realize it's maybe not something that you want to do. So it's only for the the brave and the bold, I'd say, like you and like Ed
Mm.
and stuff. Um, so Jason ended up becoming a substitute teacher. He saw that I did it. I loved it. My sister started subbing. You know, we all became substitutes, and then I got my license. And then my sister got her license, and then Jason's like, "All right, I'm gonna go and try to be a sub and see what it's all about." And so you know, he met somebody at school. He has a coworker at school that he said that I should really, you know, meet. He's like, you really got to meet this girl. I think she's your type and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, fine. I went to, I forget where it was, Sunset Station or something, and I went bowling, and I met her, and then yeah, we scheduled a time to meet up again, and we ended up doing karaoke, but we got really plastered, and so we didn't have a way to get back, and so and it was me, and it because she's Filipina and she's a J1 teacher, and there's other J1 teachers, and we're all just having a good time. You know how it is. Everyone's doing karaoke, and none of us could drive, so we called in our DD, and guess who showed up? It was Tita Margie. She
Oh,
came
wow.
in. Actually, what am I saying? She's the one who drove us there, but
Yeah.
no one could drive back home, so she ended up saying, everyone just come into my car. I'll take everyone to my place, and then tomorrow I'll drive you guys back to the karaoke place, and then everyone can drive home from there. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet of her. And then I was like, sure. So we went to her place. I crashed on the couch. Everyone, like out of 5 of those teachers, like 3 of them lived with Tita Margie anyways. So it was just me and another guy that we didn't live there. So she drove the other guy. We dropped him off, and then she was taking me back to the she drove the other teacher off and just dropped him off at his house, at where he was staying, and then she was driving me back to the karaoke place, and then that's when she mentioned, she's like, I just got back from this film festival. It was a Filipino film festival, and they just showed the movie Kazan's Game. Beautiful film, by the way, if you haven't seen it. It's a must watch for Filipino films. And I was like, oh, really? I forget which festival. It might have been the San Diego Film Fest or the one in Seattle. But I was like, oh, Tito, I'm an aspiring filmmaker. I just started. It was 2022. I was just starting Susan. And she's like, really? It's like, you have anything? And I was like, yeah. So I showed her my very first student film, Love is Likes, which my niece, and it's a love story between my niece and one of my closest friends' son. I try to get them together in the film, and it's like this cute little love story. And I said, it's a Filipino film. And no, she asked me, is it a Filipino film? I was like, yeah, look. And it's not a Filipino film. It's just a love story, but I have Filipino references in it. Like the kids pay with pesos, with Philippine pesos.
Yeah.
and the boy tries to win her over by selling puto, So I'm like, it is a Filipino film. Come on. And she's like, it's not Filipino enough. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. What? So I was like, all right, so I'm gonna make a Filipino film that's Filipino enough for Tita Margie. And then I had class. I went, we had another assignment to make a film about, a character stuck in a dark room, and you have to light it up to make it look like they're stuck. And I was like, all right, bet. I'm going to make a film about a girl or a woman who loses her daughter, and I'm going to light it up so it looks like a horror. And then I'm going to use Filipino folklore to be the creature, and I'm going to do it all in Tagalog. Sorry, it's raining right now, so it's like it's getting to me. So I was like, I'm using a Filipino cast, I'm using Filipino folklore, and I'm doing it all in Tagalog. So if it's not Filipino enough for you, I don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And so I made it, and the cool thing about my professor, Professor Olson, he's like, if he saw my other films. He saw my boxing film. He saw my Love is Likes, and he's like, I noticed you bring the whole class in when you do your films. If you want to use the class, you're allowed to use up to 4 people, and then your film will count as their assignment as well. So I was like, oh, I already had a dedicated crew because I can pick 4 people. So one of them was my brother. And then that's where I met Nick Villaforte. He ended up being my audio guy, and then I picked up my makeup artist. And then, of course, my sister was my actress. And then my niece was the daughter. And it was such a blast, making this Filipino film. And we did such a good job with it. My makeup artist was so great. and Derek can act really well. Like, he's more of an actor than he is a director. Hush hush. I don't think he's ever gonna watch this, but he'll probably get mad at me if he hears me say that. But I was like, yeah, I was so proud of everyone, and we submitted the film at this film festival that the professor knew about that just opened. It was in Ely. It was called the Ely Film Festival, and it was on its first year or second year, I forget. But he's friends with the founder, and he said, yeah, you should submit to them because I know that it's brand new and they need people with good who makes good films. And boy, did they ever! Because I saw the competition and I was like, this is not even fair.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I submitted it, because a lot of the people making those films were high schoolers, and it's like, I'm using good equipment, and these high schoolers are using like phones and everything. So,
Yeah.
but we ended up winning, and it was like, it felt good. It was like, wow, we won a film festival. And the governor was there because his wife is from Ely. So it turned out to be a much bigger thing than I thought. And, he comes up to me and he's like, my wife got really scared of the film. Good job. And I was like, thank you so much, sir. And then he pulled me back in and he whispered, vote for me. And I was like, and that's why I'm not in that field. That's why I'm not in that field. I don't even know if what he said was honest or not. So I was like, okay. But the reason why I'm saying all that was because that was it for me. That's when I realized I'm going to do whatever it takes to get into the field and make feature films because I love it now. And I have a film that is purely Filipino, and I'm going to go and show it to the one person who pushed me to make this film. And so I went back to Tita Margie. She's super heavily involved with like anything Filipino in Las Vegas. And so I had to schedule a day with her. And, I was like, hey, Tita Margie, do you remember me? And she's like, oh, yeah, you're that guy that got drunk at the karaoke machine, the karaoke night. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to be known as that guy. I'm the
There's more
filmmaker.
to me than just that.
I'm the filmmaker. It was just a good night, And she's like, oh, what is it? And I was like, I made a new film. And she's like, is it Filipino? And I was like, yes. And I'm like, what? I'm in my head, I'm like, what difference does it make if it's Filipino? Like, why is she so adamant? And then I realized it's because she was brewing. She's been trying to come up with a Filipino film festival, and she's been going to the film festivals, I think, to find somebody that can help her run a film festival here in Las Vegas. And that's where I come in. She saw Palisipan, and she was like, I was like, what is it? It's not Filipino now? She's like, it's the one. It's the one. And she's like, I'm going to make a film festival, and we're going to showcase your film. And you're going to showcase your other film, even though it's not that Filipino. And then you're going to bring in Filipinos to showcase their films. And then we're going to do it at the library. Would you be interested? And I was like, yes, hell yeah. So she's really big in the political world as well. So she invited all these politicians. She invited everybody that she knew in the Filipino community. And then we had our first unofficial film festival later that year at the West Charleston Library next to CSN Charleston. And that's where I got to showcase Palisipan right after it came fresh from winning the Ely Film Fest. And, it turns out the governor was her boy. So the governor got to see it again. He was like, oh, I saw that film. Yeah, vote for me, because it was election year. And then my brothers were honored because they got to showcase their stuff. Derek has his Magnus Opus, and Jason has his Magnus Opus. And then I have two friends who made really good Filipino films, and we had like 5 films, and it was like an hour long. And surprisingly, it was like almost a full house. Like everyone that was in the Filipino community came by to support, and that's when Tita Margie realized like there's a need for it in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And then then she called me up later that year, or she called me up after and was like, you did such a good job with that film. How would you like to be a part of the Filipino Film Festival here? I'm trying to make one, and I would love for you to be the one in charge of the festival. And I was like, what? I mean, I'm a student filmmaker. What do I know? And she's like, yeah, but look, you can learn. And so I think the moon's aligned, Doug, because I submitted Palisipan to all these film festivals, and they accepted it, and so I was
Hmm.
able to experience Cordillera for the first time, which was such a blast because uh, sorry for all the other film festivals that ever watched this. Cordillera Film Festival is probably the greatest film festival in the U.S.
Mm.
It's amazing. I haven't been to the Austin one yet, but Cordillera will cover your stay, feed you, and give you nonstop great films from across the country, probably the world too, uh, all for 5 days. If you get in,
Wow.
for anybody who gets in, they cover you for the whole week. Like they take
Wow.
care of you. You just got to get there. And I just felt like so loved as a filmmaker, and like they make you
Right.
feel really special. And they have like the voice of Goofy's there. He's one of the guys that runs it. One of the producers is Jeremy Renner from Arrival. He's Hawkeye
Oh,
from the
oh
Avengers.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
just watched Wind River again last week.
Oh, excellent film. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, there's such a chilling scene in there though. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like such a underappreciated film festival that is the best film festival in Nevada.
Hmm.
Sorry, Tita. I'm saying that because I everything that I learned from Cordillera, like how to run a film festival, how to make people feel, how to make filmmakers feel loved, I got from Cordillera, and now I'm trying to instill it into the Las Vegas Filipino Film Fest,
Yeah.
and it's transitioning very smoothly because the producers, they're all Filipino. Ate Manette, Tita
Yeah.
Margie, Tita Olive, who's the creative
Hmm.
director,
Yeah.
who's standing in for Felipe because Felipe had to retire, and Felipe's doing something else now. He's no longer a part
He's with
of
the
the.
union, right?
He's with the union. He's not with the production team anymore, but he still
Yeah.
supports through the union. So Tita Olive is the creative director now because
Yeah.
that's what Felipe was doing. They're Filipino, and just as well as I do
Yeah.
how Filipino hospitality is. They're just
Oh my gosh.
loving, and they're so giving, and it's
Yeah.
like, and I was telling them like, this is how Cordillera does it. They're like, especially Tita Margie, she's like, I already do all that. When people walk into my home, I offer them. First thing I ask them is if they've eaten yet. You know,
Yeah.
I already do all that. They already do all that. Cordillera does that. You walk in and they're like, "Did you eat yet?" Because you need to eat before you start watching all these movies. And it's
Hmm.
like it was such an easy transition. And so I think a lot of the love and support that we've gotten from filmmaker like from you and from other great filmmakers that have come to the film fest, the biggest thing that everybody appreciates is like the community, the sense of value that they feel as filmmakers,
Oh
and,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
the love and support they get from the film fest. I think a lot of it, like 50% of it, can go to Cordillera, and 50% can go to the production team, to the
Mm.
producers that
Mm.
put their heart and soul into it. And yeah, so our first official year was in 2023. Tita Margie's like, all right, so you went to Cordillera, you talked so highly about it, now what can you do about our film festival? Can you do the same thing? And I was like, I don't know if I can do it like Cordillera. They've been out for like 7 years.
Yeah. And as a budget.
There's a budget, but she's like, don't worry about that. I got sponsors. I know a lot of politicians. And boy, did she brought in David Tupaz, and she has like every Filipino business person in Las Vegas come in and help out. And she turned it into a giant, like not only a Filipino film festival, but it became like a Filipino community event because a lot of vendors came in from the Philippines and started selling their wares. We
Yeah.
had the Filipino-American Chamber of Commerce came in and started, they had a bunch of vendors, and then they had a fashion show with David Tupaz. So like Filipino models from all over the country came in and provided like a little, walkway
Mm.
show and runway show. And it was like, wow, it was so cool. Our first year was like, holy cow, like how come you top that,
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's.
yeah, well, we did. The way we topped it was we made it just a single event because people kept going to watch the models than they were to watch the movies. And then they were confused when the runway show was done. They were like, "Where's the film fest?" Because I just see a bunch of businesses. You know, it was at the Orleans Casino, and everyone was
Uh-huh.
selling their wares and everything. And our film festival was right there in the convention hall on the side of the vendor booths, and no one could find us because they kept getting distracted by all the businesses. You know, they were like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Filipinanas," and there's like, "What, Filipino slippers with the flag on it?" You know, they were so happy. And it was like, okay, but it was still a success because we had such great films. We had filmmakers coming from all over the country for the first
Mhm.
year. You know, a lot of them from California, because for some reason they just don't have a Filipino film festival there, or I mean, they do, but I don't know. I guess they were happy to have one in Vegas because a lot of them
Yeah.
came from California from the first year. And then it worked out. We had a great big gala night on that Sunday, and then boom, and then we topped it. We did it again, but we did it in a movie theater, and we
Mhm.
made it a singular event. So it's just a film festival, and then boom, you know, we had something because we had people coming from around the country, and we had people visiting from like the UK coming to see the
Mhm.
film festival, and it was great. You know, they had nothing but praise, and they loved it, and yeah, we just repeated it again this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you know, that we had the same kind of feelings that we had from the first 2 years, and then yeah, that's where we are now.
That
We're in
was
Vegas.
yeah. So speaking from somebody that went to the film festival, it was so much fun. And the one thing that you know, I really don't have a big footprint on social media. I've been really kind of busy, but the one comment that I made about it was just a sense of community, and it was just amazing. And here's the thing too, you go to the film festival, they there, and I don't know how things will change progress in the years, but they feed everybody. They feed everybody like, all right, line up here, everybody eat. Come on, let's eat. And there it is. It was such a great time. So you posted a photo just recently. Was it on Facebook or maybe Instagram? It was of you, Tita Margie, Manette, and I think Olive. And you guys were talking about, and I think the caption was, you're talking about, hey, what's going to happen next year? So do you have any surprises? Are there anything that's different that you're trying to make happen next year?
Um,
Anything?
okay, so you know we're always trying new things. We're trying different categories to see what the need is in the community here in Las Vegas. Um, but we are putting something together for not this year, but for the fifth year. So we should have
Hmm.
something big for our fifth year anniversary. In the meantime, we are excited about this upcoming year though because it is an election year. And with the election years, I mean, like we had last year, a lot of the politicians come in and they love seeing themselves on the big screen, and usually that results in you know better food and grander venues, should I
Hmm.
say? So it's going
Yeah.
to be exciting to see where that takes us. What Tita Margie has in store, but in the meantime, that's pretty much all I can say for now.
Okay.
But the goal does remain the same. Like I had mentioned during the awards gala and at the karaoke night for the union for SEIU,
Hmm.
we hope to one day be the Sundance of Nevada. And we
Yeah.
hope that our award, the Crisostomo Ibarra Award, becomes a trademark in the Philippine cinema, in the Philippine world of cinema. We
Right.
hope that the Ibarra becomes synonymous with the Oscar. If you hear the Ibarra, it's like you won an Oscar in Philippine cinema.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really great. And I've heard you say that more than once when, talking with the folks and other interviews. That's really great. Um,
That's the goal.
yeah. Oh man, I was gonna, who was the woman that emceed at the gala? She was hilarious. She should have
Oh,
been doing stand up.
They call her Ate Glow, but she's a Tita to me. She's
Yeah,
Tita Gloria.
she
Uh,
was she was on point. She was so entertaining,
she's
and
great. And
she
that's why
didn't
she
she
always
didn't
MCs our Galanites.
yeah, she didn't miss a beat at all. She was great.
No, and what the craziest thing was is that a lot of people had to call in because of emergencies, and so
Hmm.
she was working on a script that was written for her just 30 minutes before everything started.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so behind the scenes secret, we everything was thrown into chaos about 30 minutes before the awards night started because we had a bunch of emergencies, and so she went off the cuff and totally, blew everyone away that night, which is
yeah.
great.
She she was. I love comedy. I love stand up. I've always wanted to do stand up at some point. Yeah, she was really great, really impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was a great time. Let's see. What else do I? What is your? Well, we kind of already kind of touched upon it. What is your path forward in your personal career, and of course with the festival? We already talked about that. Your so Cadence will be possibly your first feature film, your first
Yeah,
feature
most
endeavor.
likely
Yeah,
it'll
yeah, yeah,
most likely be my first feature, and then yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that for on a personal level, I'm hoping I can show the world that, Filipinos can make great films too,
yeah,
or great films about the Philippines can be made.
yeah,
Because I don't know, I mean, there's not a lot of great Filipino films right now, and I think that might have to be that might have a lot to do with there's a lot of lack of funding available in the Philippines, so it's hard to get you know films done in the Philippines, and
mm,
B, there might be a cultural dissonance between Filipinos and Filipino Americans, where Filipino Americans, they don't feel really connected to the Philippines. They're more American, should I
yeah,
say? And
mm,
they don't really care too much about being a voice for the Philippines. So
yeah,
they when they make films, they're just doing American films. I'm American.
mm,
I'm gonna just do that.
yeah, yeah,
And that dissonance is kind of something that I'm hoping to just you know shatter, if not at least minimize. And
mm,
I would love to be one of the first, or one of the many, hopefully in the future, filmmakers that are nominated for an Oscar. You know,
yeah,
the Philippines. When you look at the international category on the Oscars, you always see the movies being dominated by the Koreans and the
mm,
Japanese and the
yeah,
French and hell, even the Spanish. But Philippines, no, not once have they been nominated. And it would be super cool to either be nominated or be a part of the team that gets, the Philippines on the map, to gets them
yeah,
nominated. Because then that's when people start paying attention. They're like, oh, nominations,
yeah,
Philippines, what? And then bam,
yeah.
we can show the world that
And,
Filipinos can make great films.
and it's almost like when Pacquiao just exploded on the and the ESPN when of course, like you said, yeah, there were other, boxers that preceded him, that was, prior to him, but I think he was the one that really put the Philippines on the map. Well, Shawn Rosen, I'm so glad to been your friend, be your friend, and I've met you.
Yeah. And once you leave, you're no longer my friend. That's right.
Yeah,
Let's
you're
leave
out of
Vegas.
here.
Get
You're
out of
out of
here.
here. I'm so glad we met, and I'm so glad I have a chance to sit down and talk with you, and we can share your story, and people get to know a little bit more about you and your film festival. I'll share this on my Filipino YouTube channel, and then you can share it abroad across the world.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Doug, for having me on here,
yeah,
and wanting to know, a little bit about
yeah,
me.
yeah, and it's really great. So, thanks again, Shawn, and hold tight once I pause this thing. So. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Shawn, thanks so much.
Hey. I'm not gonna train you. That's the end of the story.
It's not the end of the goddamn story, and I'm asking you for a shot.
You want a hot brother again? Is that what this is?
Let me teach this bitch a lesson. I mean, look at it.
I learned my lesson, and I'm trying to make it right.
And you left me for dead.